Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today. The trusted choice for interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday, and previewing and reviewing the latest shows from WWE, AEW, New Japan, and everything in between every Saturday on YouTube and Castbox. Sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I am, of course, your host, James J alongside Scooter Dust.
Hey.
And it was a good week for Wrestling With as we interviewed Lizardman Nathan Niles on Tuesday and then Zeke Andino on Wednesday. Two great interviews. You could definitely go check them out in the archives. This upcoming this upcoming Tuesday, I should say, we have Naira Robles, our first interview from Puerto Rico. We talk about being the first female main event in Puerto Rico, Kim Possible, making her way to, you know, the States, and a hell of a lot more. And then on Wednesday, we have the Amazon Aisha Raymond. We talk about a recent match against Tessa Blanchard, taking part in the first ever Mae Young Classic, um, being featured, having a cameo role in Penny's work, and a lot more. Definitely, you don't want to miss those two interviews, but don't take my word for it. Here's some clips. Something did come up that I found very interesting that I never seen in Liberty Pro. Right. And that and is on the Mississippi Mauler.
Oh, I remember that match.
24 Chris
It's in my core memory, the way I was snapped like a twig. Like, that was a whole chiropractor session right there.
Yeah. Somewhat of a superstitious. When he's there, good. When he's not bad. Check out.
Oh yeah, no, I can if I can think of a match or a time or something happens and he wasn't there, I will email it and put it and give it to you. You can put it in a description box. But any time that Yuki isn't there, something bad happens. Like I, anytime that he has actually been there, everything is good has happened. Like I generally, Pennyworth is actually a really good example. I brought him with me. He was on set. He actually sat in the director's chair, which was actually quite interesting to watch. And when I got shot, they didn't realize the difference between like stunt bumping and wrestling bumping. It was kind of the same. And when I got shot, I literally backed off the floor, and they all freaked out. And I was like, "No, it's fine. I know how to protect my head. My back is like done in though, but my head's fine." And they're like, "Do it again." And I'm like, "No, I'm actually quite okay. I am guaranteed. If Yuki wasn't there, I would have got a concussion because it was a brick floor." They didn't give me pad. They were like, "Do you want the padding?" No, like, no, it's fine. This is actually softer than most rings in Japan, which is true. It was so true.
And Fanada's Gravity, Parkour,
fired. They
Borough,
fired. They fired Gravity. Everything's gonna be floating away.
especially Joe's the assistant.
Oh, something. Assistant. Yeah, of course. You pay. Pack returns and Gravity goes away.
Because he's the man that Gravity forgot.
Oh yeah, there was an earthquake today. I forgot.
What does it kind of mean that AEW is starting to do releases?
I really wish I could have been a fly on the wall in this room when this decision was made. I really want to know what the process is for AEW actually releasing yeah, what is the process it goes through to release superstars, as opposed to having some public relations nightmare. um, it. Hmm.
I wonder. And just to add to the names that got fired, Jora Joel is got fired as well, and Slim J. I left those names out.
And did you say did you say Parker Boudreaux?
Yeah, Paco Bodrox.
Boudreaux or Bordeaux. It's depending on how much you've had to drink.
You need
Uh,
something stronger than.
it was that was Scarlett's last name back when she had one. Yeah. So the next Brock Lesnar fails again.
Yeah, and literally the most easygoing company of all time. I think
I
they
mean,
were just. I mean, he might make a return to WWE, and they might just say, "This is Brock Lesnar. He got more tattoos."
you know what? They could say he's Maya Lesnar.
Oh, will you stop it?
Wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Oh,
I wonder how much of this was, you know, Tony Khan's actual influence, and how much input the disciplinary committee had when it came to this, i.e., Brian Danielson. You know what I mean?
yeah.
In your opinion, did this come out of nowhere?
Uh. Uh. Yes, but I'm not surprised by the people on it.
Um, Considering the only one that I would really say is like, wow, this is a loss for AEW would be Dalton Castle's boys. They're a big part of the aesthetic of Dalton Castle. And we'll get into the boys in a moment. But the 10 names that got fired, already, Tony Khan said that they will be bringing back um, Anthony Henry after he's injured, when he recovers from injury. Think about that for a minute. The guy got
That
injured, they fired him, and they said, when you get better, we'll we'll hire you back. Not, oh well, you're injured. Maybe we'll give you some grace because maybe we'll pay for your actual fucking surgery. But no, it's just, oh well, you got injured. Well, here's your release. Fuck you.
uh that one, it sounds to me like bullshit. Uh, Secondly, uh, are they are they really trying to pull a Steve Austin?
Oh, you think that they're trying to say, oh, he got injured and got fired and then came back like a Stone Cold,
I I mean,
like a
he
duplication?
he was part of the Workhorsemen, so it's. I have a feeling he's not going to be brought back when he's because if I'm Anthony Henry right now, I'm looking at my contract to see if this is an admission of fire, firing without grounds.
Well,
Because essentially that's what AEW has done.
well, the official reason for these people getting fired is, and I quote, budget cuts.
Yet Peter Avalon still has a job.
So, you know, my first initial reaction to them saying, "Oh well, it's budget cuts," is how fucking large is Mercedes Monet's contract? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, it's a contract for her and a contract for her stylist. Since but it's, they are biting themselves in the ass over the money they promised from that contract.
Well, we'll get into Mercedes in a minute, in a hot minute, I'll say. Um, you know, as I said, the official reasoning was, and I quote, budget cuts. Um, like I stated, the Tate twins, the boys, Dalton Castle's boys, were fired. A part of that. Um, Tony Khan did a media scrum because those always go great for him, right?
Uh,
And when prompted about these budget cuts, he said that the boys did not make it to TV, and they were no shows at a lot of the AEW events that they were scheduled to appear on. That is not budget cuts. That's a firing, as Tony Khan would say it, with cause, which actually prompted the twins to respond, and actually provide evidence that AEW was supposed to handle their travel, and they didn't, and that's the reason that they were not able to make the TVs that they were allegedly missed. You kind of you're following everything I'm saying, right?
yes. Uh, of course, Tony Khan's first response was, "What's a budget?"
Yeah. Is that my daddy's allowance?
um, you know, we joke all the time about how Tony Khan is not a promoter; he's a billionaire's son playing promoter. Well, now he's a billionaire's son playing businessman. uh, because clearly, what's one of the things you don't do in pro wrestling
I mean,
if
there's a
you're a
lot.
promoter?
You don't
You
not pay your talent.
that
Oh, you
but
don't
you
shit
also
on the talent's head.
that too. I feel like that's just an unspoken rule.
Apparently not
But
anymore.
don't is you don't talk about releases, uh, especially to the media. Uh, Releases are not supposed to be a publicity stunt, which this almost kind of seems like it is.
This sounds really sick, but did he fire people to get people talking about AEW?
it would not surprise me. It also wouldn't surprise me if a few of them were released for stealing Tony's cocaine. Um, maybe Tony Khan wanted the boys, but the boys did not want Tony Khan.
Oh God, now we're just falling into Janel Grant territory here. People power. Um, Speaking of, AEW and failed attempts at publicity, Mercedes Monet has been on AEW TV for roughly what, 3 weeks now?
She has?
Apparently. Um, and it's already not going well. People are already calling it a failure on the part of AEW. Um, no matches yet, which is, understandable. They want to wait. You gotta pay for the finish. That's just basic wrestling logic. Um, but what they have been doing with her has not been hitting with the crowd. They had her out on commentary. People kind of have said, speaking is not necessarily her strong suit. Um, how did AEW fuck this up so fast?
uh, good lord. Because they're AEW. I mean, the fact that they kind of brought her in just to bring her in. They didn't. They did it without any long-term story planning,
No shit.
and that's the big issue here. Is that to justify her being there, you have to put her on TV now. Uh, I think it's safe to say that uh, Tony's learning the hard way that um, what's the phrase? Don't believe the hype. Because
You're t-
Sasha's riding the hype all the way to that bank. That's for sure.
well, you're saying don't believe in the hype, but that would be the logical response of a logical human being, not Tony Khan.
As we know, Tony Khan is from the planet cocaine. Uh,
I
Jeez.
don't think it's necessarily her not working out. It's AEW not knowing what to do with her. And that's not her fault per se. It's AEW's fault.
I
I
mean,
highly doubt that she gives a shit either way, as long as she's getting paid, right?
I mean, especially uh, with AEW and the WWE kind of having some involvement in the Stardom event that took place um, on uh, on the 4th. So it's uh, they
Well,
yeah you could he could have they they could have waited. They really could have waited with her. But Tony has like this instant gratification mindset.
Yeah.
and it's gonna ruin AEW as a business first before it just starts ruining it as a promotion.
Well, I think that's a great segue into our our next bit of news. He did it again. CM Punk is in the news for opening his mouth. For anybody that doesn't know, he did an interview with Ariel Hawani in studio, um, talking about his time in AEW, coming back to WWE, etc., etc. He basically pretty much covered the 2 years he was in AEW and his eventual return to WWE. I'm curious. Was you able to listen to it, Scooter?
I did not. I did take away that you know uh, he said he didn't regret uh, uh, his time there.
No, he didn't. But you know, I did watch the interview, and he kind of touched on everything that we've been talking about, and not just in this episode, but you know in general about AEW. He said that Tony Khan, he isn't a promoter. He's just a nice guy. Which is sounds pretty,
That's 50% right. He is a guy.
I mean, I'll say this. It does sound more on the lines that Tony has been taken advantage of by the Young Bucks, to push their agenda. I'll say that. Um, he doesn't seem like a bad guy, but he also doesn't seem like he's competent either. So, take that as you will. Um, but yeah, he pretty much said, AEW will exist as long as Tony Khan is willing to put money into it. And that AEW is not isn't a company that is looking to make money and sell tickets. Um, it's just, and Ariel Hawani was like, well, what are they looking to do? And he said, I don't know. Have good matches. And, and the this was the icing on the cake for me personally. CM Punk more or less said, and I might be paraphrasing here. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money. And he was saying that AEW, they're not there to make money. They're there to have good matches. And the validation, he said you could have good matches all you want, but and you could have your 5-star matches as much as you want. But if it's in front of a building that's a quarter filled, then what are you really doing?
Yep. It's I don't know what else there is to say about that because that's a unequivocal truth that you know you could you know you could do the 10-star Tokyo Dome night after night, But it won't matter if the fucking dome is empty.
Right.
You know, good matches don't put butts in seats.
No. And
You know,
that's
that was the territory, tactic. It's all about names. It's all about this age we're in of social media and instant communication, and how as soon as somebody does something, the world knows within nanoseconds.
I don't even think it's about names. It's about storytelling and genuinely wanting to give the people, and not, middle-aged men that masturbate to your matches, something to look forward to.
Well, that was a phrase I wasn't expecting hearing today. Okay.
Well, you know who I'm talking about.
I mean, I didn't realize we're live on Corn Pub.
And it's you have had to have seen the memes of a one Uncle Dave when it comes to promoting AEW matches. No,
Yeah, yes. Um, God, that reminds me of a. I don't know if you've ever seen the old Comedy Central cartoon Drawn Together.
probably not.
They did a. There was an Apprentice parody with Donald Trump, and every time, uh, it was a Richie Rich parody of The Apprentice with Donald Trump called Bucky Bucks or some shit like that. And every time he was about to fire someone, he came. It was like, you're fired. Um, that's been the ASMR portion of tonight's show. Uh,
Well, what I
that,
was
that,
saying,
that, that, that's Uncle Dave,
yeah,
right?
but you need. It's great to have a great match, but you need storytelling to promote the match. Why is WWE at its hottest right now? Because storytelling. Because we're at they're telling interesting stories with characters that we've grown accustomed to.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a guy, for all intents and purposes, I will be giving him a surname. Uh, uh, his name was Prince McCann, and he you might hate him, but he knew how to tell a story. Why? He worked backwards.
Right.
He knew they knew Booking knew what they wanted. Now they just figured out how they needed to get there. This is literally this is literally as if somebody is playing as AEW in a copy of Total Extreme Wrestling, now available. Grey Dog Software. This is a wrestling simulator. AEW is a wrestling simulator grown sentient.
That sounds about right. All right. I don't know if you also heard about this. Um, Janel Grant is back in the news.
The love letter.
Yeah,
Oh
she
God.
how she confessed her love to Vince McMahon. Um, how she loved. Am I going to go down?
Is cock.
And how she also loved the head shitting and the smell, and a little bit drizzled onto her lips. No, that didn't actually. Well, it might have been in there. It was a really long fucking letter. Um, long story short, she wrote a letter to Vince McMahon. I'm not sure if it was handwritten or an email. Um, and it got. I'm not sure who actually released it, but um, it is implying that their relationship was, in quotations, consensual. Um, is this a good thing for the camp of Vince McMahon, or is it just delaying the inevitable?
Um, that kind of depends on how many others there are. Because if there are a lot of them, they will probably apply the group statute in that uh, one person, usually the richest person, uh, writes one big check, for everybody, and it's kind of like a class action lawsuit, but not exactly. Uh, if there are more women who are speaking out, the I don't think this love letter will have any bearing, um, I, because I don't Jeanette, did Janelle bring charges against McMahon? I thought it was just Laurinaitis.
No, it was mainly Vince McMahon, but there was against Laurinaitis as well, I believe.
I I have a feeling there's even more to this than we realize.
Well, do you think that, let's say that Vince McMahon is actually gets out of this um scot free, and she's just a what's the word, just a scorched lover, somebody that just wanted to get back
Yeah,
at him.
yeah, a woman scorned.
Yes, a woman scorned, something of that lines, and he's acquitted of everything. Does he come back to WWE?
No, he can't. He
Why is that?
actually can't. He cannot. He cannot force his way in. Again. Um. Also, uh, there's there's a big stake of Endeavor bought. Um. I forget the how much of that uh was, but uh, but now this means, yes, there we go. Silver Lake at a 13 billion valuation. Yes, Endeavor, after buying the WWE, has now been bought themselves. So, uh, so TKO will be allowed to operate as its own private company. So now this really means opinion on the board matters. There's no uh, back doors, and I hate using that term, or loopholes Vince can use to get back in, even if he wanted to. ARP wouldn't let him either. I mean, I'm surprised Linda hasn't killed him.
Well,
but then of course this means that in 2028 we will be saying hello to President McMahon.
Maybe if everything gets sorted out between now and November,
Oh
maybe
no.
he'll be the
No.
the vice president to
Oh God.
WWE Hall of Famer President Donald Trump.
Yeah. Oh, it's been speaking of the Hall of Fame, some people in the crowd that didn't expect, which is nice. Um, but are we moving on?
Yes. So
I've got an interesting piece here that I think just needs to be mentioned before.
yeah.
This WrestleMania will be uh, will set the record for most first-time WrestleMania appearances. 12 superstars, in-ring superstars, had to make their debut. Karrion Kross, AOP, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate, Grayson Waller, Dragon Lee, technically not Dragon Lee anymore, Santos Escobar, LA Knight, and Jade Cargill. And then you have the outside, as well, Scarlett, B-Fab, and the LWO. Dragon Lee's in-ring WrestleMania appearance will unfortunately have to happen next year, considering that it's now Rey Mysterio teaming with Andrade.
Oh.
Who chose Rey Mysterio over Legado del Fantasma. So,
Or did he choose his mommy over Dominic's
it
mommy?
it it was it was it was a nice feeling to see Andrade and Zelina back together.
Yeah, that's right. That's a big callback, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, keeping on, big things that are happening in WWE, Class at the Castle makes its return. This time in Scotland. Um, this has Drew McIntyre written all over it, doesn't it?
Uh, I mean, yeah, it does. Unless they hire another Scotsman.
They could re-sign that announcer Patrick Clark.
I mean, with Ridge Holland retiring permanently, Wait, never mind. He played rugby, so he doesn't count. Oh yeah, they. Uh, yes, there really are no other Scottish wrestlers.
Well, I mean,
Anyway.
you know why, Scooter? Because there
Why?
can be only one.
Oh my God! You pulled the Highlander.
He is June
Uh,
McLeod of the Clan McLeods.
excuse me. I'm Juan Villalobos Sanchez Ramirez, and I am the one.
This is a big thing, if I'm being honest. It's the first ever WWE PLE in Scotland. You know,
Yeah, and
they've done a handful in England, but never. They had the one in Wales a year or two ago. And it just keeps the trend of um
doing it.
outside of America PLEs. Obviously
Yeah,
Backlash is going to be in France.
yeah. I
We're
told
doing a
you
Germany one in August,
on my birthday.
and now a Scottish one.
Yeah, I did like. I mean, if you really want to call Canada a country, that's now taking a calendar year for the WWE, starting from the day after WrestleMania to WrestleMania the next year. That's 4 PLEs out of uh, out of the states. Uh,
And the rest of the calendar year
three,
hasn't been.
yeah,
And
3 in first-time countries. Uh, uh, SummerSlam had to settle for Cleveland, unfortunately. Uh, yes, because nothing says summer like Cleveland. You know, with that lake that catches on fire.
they have a lake that catches fire.
No, they had a lake that was so polluted that when there was a fire, it spread to the lake and it wouldn't go out. Uh, I mean, figuring, I guess, since SummerSlam was in Detroit, I mean, it only makes sense that it takes the export train to Cleveland. Of course, Cleveland's best export is crippling depression. Um, if you've had if you've seen the Cleveland tourism videos, that's where I'm pulling all this from. But uh, you know, you've got okay, you got Clash, and I'm presuming they're gonna go from Backlash to Money in the Bank.
Money in the
With
Bank is
nothing in
usually
July.
June. I was gonna say June, but
It's Independence Day weekend. Uh, so presuming they don't do anything in between May and June, which May and July, which will probably be an NXT uh, event, and Survivor Series hasn't uh, hasn't been announced either. But I said this a couple of shows ago. We're getting to the point where there's going to be more, out of state, uh, PLEs as opposed to in.
right.
It's 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 gonna be very interesting to see the the backlash to this backlash.
I think it's gonna be a good thing. Um, and I think that's gonna be the crowning moment for Drew McIntyre because he's kind of been waiting um for the last 4 years. So I think that's gonna be I think that's gonna be a memorable PLE for them,
I mean, just as long as you keep Tyson Fury out, for the love of God,
or at least just keep him from speaking.
how about just entering the building?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Somebody we don't know how he made it into the building because mysterious powers. Ooh. The Bray Wyatt documentary came out
Yes,
April 1st. Not a April Fool's joke. Um, it was everything that we thought it was going to be. An emotional,
yes,
roller coaster and whatnot.
yep,
Um, but it was also what we had predicted as well, and that
yep.
is an Easter egg
Like
for a
the
potential
teaser.
Bo Dallas return as Uncle Howdy.
Now, I have, yeah, I posted something about on X about this, about having an inside source. I like to say that I have that inside source just to get people talking. Um, but the idea is that there's a mystery segment scheduled for WrestleMania, apparently. And while most believe it involves John Cena and Steve Austin coming to the aid of Cody Rhodes, I'm like, that's not a segment, is it?
No.
No. So, my idea is it is a Bo Dallas promo where he takes up the mantle of Bray as Bo Wyatt.
What about Taylor Wyatt?
No, because then everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, where's you know, where's Kelsey?" Uh, uh, and he starts almost get like I had suggested. He starts getting kind of possessed by Bray. He's he's a willing host to let Bray's spirit live within him. Uh, that yeah, and once he declares that, boom, the lights go out. You do some fancy light show, smoke show, whatever, and when they come back up, there's the new Uncle Howdy, but he's not wearing the Uncle Howdy mask. He's wearing a grotesque fusion of the Uncle Howdy and Fiend masks.
Okay, so this is if they were to do something at WrestleMania with Uncle Howdy or Bo. Um, Hear me out. The Rock isn't doing anything night two. What was one of Bray Wyatt's greatest achievements? That
That's
was the
WrestleMania 32.
yeah. Uh, it would make sense that the Bray Wyatt character, he was all about getting his revenge. So maybe Bo does something to that extent.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea, but then again, uh, you could have him step in for against do something to Seth. You can do something to Randy. Um,
Okay, well, here is my second prediction. What the night after WrestleMania, everybody knows, the Raw after, arguably maybe just as big as Mania the event. What is Roman Reigns doing after he loses the championship?
I think you got to put an if on that.
I mean, it's a big if, but
Yeah,
there.
I know, but I'm not going into it with complete confidence.
Okay, well,
Nothing to do with Cody. It's just the WWE.
yeah. No, I get that. Um,
Uh,
but let's for one minute believe that Cody is going to win the championship on night two, and Roman, is titleless for the first time in 3 years. Who did Roman Reigns beat for those
to win.
to win that championship?
Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt.
Correct. So who's there waiting for him after he loses the championship? The person that was ultimately responsible for Bray's downfall, Roman Reigns.
That's a very very interesting story. That's actually a great story that makes a lot of sense. So that means we're not going to get anything close to that. I
Well,
mean, making sense. Since when has that mattered?
right. Well, I mean, obviously, The Rock and Roman are going to feud after WrestleMania, whatever happens. But, The Rock isn't actually going to be there after WrestleMania. So you need to give Roman something to do.
Yeah. Well, uh, Triple H was on Pat McAfee's show, and he said something very interesting. If you're a part timer, you don't belong here.
Hmm.
What if? And I mean, Roman Roman's life has to be put through hell after Mania. I mean, otherwise don't have him wrestle at all. Until it's time to start building, the Rock and Roman. Um, but what if Triple H decides to send Bo out in this character to torment Roman?
I That's a little far fetched. A corporate fiend.
Mm, yeah, right, fine. Uh,
But I mean, and you're absolutely right. Whatever Roman does after he loses the championship, whenever it is, it has to matter, and has to it has to play into where he is, you know,
yeah,
with all of this, because you don't win a championship for you don't hold the championship for 3 years and then just you know
yeah,
lose it and then you're back to normal. No, it's going to have some effect. I mean,
yes,
I always go back to the Okada balloon phase when he was champion for nearly 1,000 days himself, lost the belt, and he dyed his hair red and started coming out with a balloon. and you believe that this guy literally lost his fucking mind because he lost the title. You kind of getting where I'm going at?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, what would make the most sense is, if Roman is actually, starting to lose his mind because of this potential new character, and I will go out on a limb here and make the prediction that when Raw goes off the air on Monday, it will be this Bo Dallas's new character standing over a Roman Reigns who just got Sister Abigail.
And that would be cool as fuck, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
For
I
whatever
mean,
reason, it's not Roman Reigns. I don't think you could do LA Knight, right?
you, I would say Seth. Then,
The other.
you know what? How about Jinder?
Why?
Social outcasts.
Oh, oh fuck. Oh my god. Yeah. Okay.
My God, I have to say this now. Paul Heyman started speaking about like 45 minutes ago for his speech, and he hasn't shut up yet.
Hell yeah. Alright. And the last bit of news, that we'll cover before we conclude is Chelsea Green
Oh
got
God,
kicked out of a
no,
hotel by being accused of being an escort.
not a hotel. The hotel in Manhattan, the Plaza. The Plaza Hotel, for those who don't know, that's the hotel from Home Alone 2.
Okay.
Um, it's interesting that they thought Chelsea Green was a hooker. Escort. I'm sorry, escort. Uh, you know, I believe this is 75% bullshit, 25% truth. Um, one, no person in their right mind, especially a security guard, would jump to a conclusion like that and make that assumption. That's a big fucking no. That's a that's an instant way to the unemployment line. Second is that yes, the Plaza bar and restaurant are open to the public. Uh, so that part of the story is kind of bullshit. Three, and let's be honest here with the social climate. Yeah, it's bullshit because Chelsea's a white girl.
What does that have to do with anything?
This is it's a it's a play on everything in the media about assumptions, and because people look one way, or they're being thought of as something because of something. Yeah, that I and I hate to say this, that doesn't usually happen to white women. I'm sorry. That's the way of our country right now.
What about Canadian women?
Um, well, they're made of maple leaves and maple syrup, and I don't know why I gave that a southern accent.
I find it just I find it hilarious that Chelsea Green actually had to live the gimmick and be a Karen, in a non-kayfabe way.
Well, unfortunately, this was kayfabe. I guarantee you it was. Uh, However, oddly enough, there's now a Twitter, an X feud between Chelsea Green and Adam Pearce. Chelsea has flat out challenged Adam Pearce to a match for the role as GM.
Hmm, that wouldn't necessarily suck. I like Chelsea. She's gone far beyond what she needs to do to get over as a character.
Yeah, yeah. She like you know like genital wart, she has grown on me. Uh,
And to Chelsea, maybe not wear major pod figure pod pasties under your clothes, and maybe people won't consider you an escort.
well, that one thing's for sure. She got herself into a hot mess.
And with that, that will conclude this interview, this episode.
This will conclude our drinking.
Yeah, this will conclude this episode. Thank you for listening. Join us next week as we actually have interesting shit to talk about when we preview and when we review WrestleMania Night 1 and 2. Obviously, there's going to be a Monday Night Raw after shit to talk about, and just good shit in general. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment, but on YouTube and Castbox. This was sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. Join us this Tuesday as we interview Nayo Robles, and this Wednesday as we interview Aisa Raymond. Follow the show at Wrestling with E, but on X, Thread, and Instagram for information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and so much more. Follow me personally at JamesJ993. Where can we find Scooter?
As always, find me on X at Scooter Dust. The profile picture identification contest still going on. Nobody's guessed it right. Guess it right on X. What is my profile picture of? You will win a free year of Peacock ad free.
For Clicker Yachts and Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hey, folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show. Support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.